to the United States and the principles that we believe in.
From this rostrum, the President of the United States, the gentleman to whom I refer as the devil, yesterday the devil came here. Right here. And it smells of sulfur still today. The immoral veto of the United States allowed the Israelis with impunity to destroy Lebanon. It smells of sulfur here, but God is with us, and I embrace you all. May God bless us all. Good day to you.
He has been trying desperately to pick a fight with us. He has called our Secretary of State every racial slur and human body part slur that you can think of, and she hasn't taken the bait.
He is anti-Semitic, he's anti-Jew, he's preaching hatred of Jews in his country, which is something we've never seen in the Western Hemisphere before.
What you have is an axis of evil, a global axis of evil, in formation now through Caracas, Venezuela. You can look at the relationships that Hugo Chavez has and is developing, North Korea, Iran, and in his own words, he talks about attacking the United States.
Chavez continues to publicly proclaim his intention of waging an asymmetric war against the U.S. A key element of this strategy is his network of allies, representing a who's who of global terror sponsors.
You can be a communist, you can be a left-winger of any type, you can be a drug trafficker, you can be a Shiite, or you could be Osama bin Laden. As long as you're against the United States, Chavez will take you as an ally.
Chavez is collaborating with the enemy, that is the radical Islamist enemy. He has said that he favors the kind of revolution that the radical Islamists want to see take place in their part of the world.
The Iranian-Venezuelan relationship is close. They have made numerous very hostile declarations about their joint struggles against what they call American imperialism as well as Israel. The only explanation for this closeness between Iran and Venezuela is that they share this anti-Western violent ideology.
Iran Air, Iran's national airline, now operates a flight between Tehran and Caracas, providing a direct and convenient pipeline for importing terrorism into the region.
Iran and Venezuela have issued a joint postage stamp, for example. So it just shows how the depth and the width of the Iranian-Chavez cooperation.
Credible reports from former high-ranking Venezuelan officials detail how Chavez and his government have provided false Venezuelan passports and other official documentation to over 300 known Islamic terrorists, including suspected members of Al-Qaeda.
Hugo Chavez is a real threat to the national security interests of the United States. There is an operational Hezbollah Latin America, a unit in his country, in Venezuela, that he allows to operate. He's partners with Iran. He is allowing identity documents to be produced for them that in turn can be used to get passports and possibly American visas to come here perfectly under color of law.
This should not come as a surprise to anyone who knows who Chavez's friends are. From the very beginning, his first international friend was Fidel Castro, a person who was a terrorist himself, came to power through terrorism, bombings, assassinations, etc. And then once he took over Cuba, turned the island into a training camp for terrorists from all over the hemisphere. Those terrorists from all the way from Mexico to Argentina and the Middle East and other parts of the world are Chavez's friends, and they are in Venezuela.
He spread his revolution to Ecuador, to Bolivia, wants to take it elsewhere. In the case of Bolivia, he's had direct involvement that supported the coming to power of a president in Bolivia who is open to allowing a free growth of narcotics and narcotics trafficking. He's also said no to the DEA, our Drug Enforcement Administration, said you cannot operate on my property anymore. Those who tell me, who know better, say that perhaps upwards of 80% of the cocaine coming out of Colombia today ships transnationally through Venezuela. It's quite possible that Hugo Chavez is going to wind up being the largest drug kingpin in history.
We do know they provide sanctuary for the FARC in Venezuela. They provided the FARC narco-terrorists with Venezuelan identity papers. They allow the FARC narco-terrorists to use Venezuelan territory for sanctuary and for arms trafficking. And they've also, on at least one occasion, the Venezuelan Air Force has provided air cover for FARC guerrillas who were infiltrating back into Colombia.
As that revolution continues and his efforts to try to support the FARC in Colombia grow, there's a very real chance that at some point there'll be a war in Latin America.
The Chavez regime's unprecedented buying spree of military hardware will have a destabilizing effect on the entire region. Some of these weapons, which include Russian-made small arms, over 1 million rounds of ammunition, as well as attack fighters and helicopters, reportedly to be piloted by Cuban military officers, are said to be earmarked for a new paramilitary organization loyal to Chavez and his allies throughout the hemisphere.
They want to continue to be able to build an army and have the weapons so that they can be more of a threat and disrupt the balance of power. It's clear.
Venezuela had 40 years of democracy, from 58 to 98, and the Venezuelan military had adhered to the principle of civilian control of the military. They were respectful of the Constitution and the laws. That is no longer the case. They now respond to Chavez's dictates, to his party. They become his tools for the control of the population.
For years, it had been a very dependable partner of the United States. We had a very strong Air Force relationship with Venezuela, a very strong naval relationship, and to a lesser degree, a relationship on the Army side, although we had a good-sized Special Forces contingent there. Chavez kicked out our Special Forces and replaced them with Chinese troops.
The Chinese-Venezuela relationship is extremely worrisome. The Chinese have a plan, and we have a problem, because their plan is to substitute the United States in the Western Hemisphere as the primary power. Not only economically, but militarily. So they view Chavez and his resources as a great ally in their quest to substitute the United States as the primary power, and really to reduce us to, France status. And they see Chavez and his axis of evil as a great ally in their quest to become the primary power in the Western Hemisphere.
Now that we have an embargo on the Venezuelan military, the only countries breaking that embargo are China, Russia, and Europe.